The marketplace on station Kepler 442 buzzed with the usual chaos of interstellar commerce. Stevie adjusted her supply pack, scanning the alien vendors with practiced efficiency. After 3 months stationed on this remote trading hub, she'd learned to navigate the complex web of species, languages, and customs that made up the galactic collective. Fresh synth protein. Only 2 credits, a Vaxian merchant chirped, its translucent wings fluttering. Stevie moved past without interest. She was looking for something specific today. Actual Earth grain. The shipment from home was delayed again, and the human contingent was running low on real food. Synthetic substitutes kept them alive, but nothing compared to genuine wheat bread. That's when she saw them. 2 small figures huddled behind a derelict cargo pod. Their species was unfamiliar, thin, almost skeletal, with large luminous eyes and skin that shimmered like oil on water. The smaller one, barely reaching Stevie's knee, clutched something close to its chest. The larger one, perhaps older by a year or 2, was indeed crouched low, pulling at the bioluminescent moss that grew between the station's deck plates. Stevie's heart clenched. She'd seen hunger before, but this was different. The smaller child noticed her staring and scrambled forward, tiny 3-fingered hands extended. In its grasp was a crude doll, stitched together from scraps of fabric and cargo netting. The craftsmanship was remarkable despite the poor materials. Tiny beads for eyes, delicate embroidered patterns across its body. "Please, human, please," the universal translator rendered the child's desperate chirps into standard. "My doll for your bread. Sister is eating grass behind you." Stevie froze. She didn't have bread. She had ration bars, water tablets, and emergency supplies. But the way those enormous eyes looked up at her, the way the older sister had paused from eating moss to watch with hollow desperation. "Stevie?" Orion's voice crackled through her comm. "You're late for the supply check." "Give me a minute," she replied, already kneeling down to the children's level. "Hey there, little ones, what species are you? Where are your parents?" The translator struggled with the younger child's response, producing garbled fragments. "Home world, quarantine, station authorities, no papers, hiding, refugees." Of course. The collective's bureaucracy was legendary for its cruelty disguised as efficiency. Without proper documentation, these children were invisible, unable to access food distribution or medical care. Stevie reached into her pack and pulled out 3 ration bars, her entire day's allotment. The younger child's eyes widened impossibly further. "No, no," Stevie said gently. "Keep your doll. This is a gift." But the child pressed the doll into her hands anyway, chittering urgently. The translator caught fragments. "Fair trade. Honor. Cannot accept charity. Please." Before Stevie could protest, both children snatched the ration bars and scurried back into the shadows. She was left holding the small, carefully crafted doll, feeling its weight in her palms. "Stevie? Status?" Orion's voice held concern now. "I'm coming," she said quietly. "But we need to talk." 20 minutes later, Stevie found Orion in the human quarters, conducting inventory with his usual methodical precision. His dark eyes narrowed when she showed him the doll. "You gave away your rations." "There were children, Orion. Starving children eating moss off the deck." "We're all hungry," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. He set down his datapad and took the doll, examining it with careful fingers. "This is exquisite work. Look at these stitches. Perfectly even, no automation. Hand-sewn. They're refugees. No papers. Hiding from station authorities." Orion was silent for a long moment. Then he moved to the storage locker and pulled out his personal stash, a small cache of real food he'd been saving. 3 packets of freeze-dried soup, a container of actual coffee, and 2 precious chocolate bars. "What are you doing?" Stevie asked. What we should have been doing all along. He handed her the supplies. Take these, find those kids. I'll talk to Commander Wells about setting up a proper relief distribution. Wells will say we can't spare the resources. Then we'll make her spare them. Orion's jaw set in that stubborn line she knew well. That's what humans do, right? We see someone suffering and we can't just walk away. It's why half the galaxy thinks we're crazy. Stevie smiled despite herself. The other half thinks we're dangerous. Let them think both. He pulled out his comm and began typing. I'm contacting the other crews too. Earth Alliance protocols give us discretionary authority for humanitarian intervention. If Wells won't authorize official channels, we'll do it ourselves. Within an hour, the human contingent had mobilized. Stevie led a small team back to where she'd found the children, armed with food, water, and medical supplies. They found not just 2 children, but 17, an entire cluster of refugees from the Zephyr system, displaced by the recent territorial conflicts. Orion, true to his word, had already filed the paperwork for temporary humanitarian asylum. It would take weeks to process, but it bought them time. More importantly, it sent a message to the station authorities. The humans were watching. That night, Stevie placed the small doll on her bunk shelf. It stood there among her few personal possessions, a reminder of why humanity had joined the stars in the first place. Not for conquest or commerce, but because when someone asked for help, humans couldn't turn away. The younger child had whispered something as they'd returned with supplies, something the translator had finally rendered clearly. Human friends, like the stories say. You see the small ones. In a galaxy of vast empires and ancient civilizations, perhaps that was humanity's real strength. They saw the small ones, the forgotten ones, and they couldn't help but reach out. Orion stopped by her quarters as Gamma Shift began. Commander Wells approved the relief program, reluctantly but officially. How'd you manage that? He grinned, reminded her that the Collective Council reviews humanitarian records when considering trade agreements. Turns out humans being crazy compassionate is actually good for business. Stevie laughed and looked at the doll again, this small, perfect thing offered in desperate dignity by a child who had nothing. You know what? She said. Maybe we are crazy, but I wouldn't want it any other way. That's why we're human, Orion replied. That's why we're out here. And somewhere in the depths of Station Kepler 442, 17 refugee children slept with full stomachs for the first time in weeks, dreaming of the strange species that had seen them when everyone else looked away. End.